Radha, will you say something? If you repeat what you said before, it doesn't bother me because I hear it, but perhaps you don't need to do that. Go ahead, Radha.
Thank you very much, Lakhtar. This book has come out at a moment when, once again, some form of peace agreement is being discussed. And once again, the problems and the obstacles for that peace process are immense. All over the region, the question of a US withdrawal and whether there can be a peace agreement leading to some form of interim government is at all possible. At the moment, as we see it, efforts and discussions are ongoing, but we do not know what, if any, result will come in the next few weeks, as it is the conference, the regional conference with Afghanistan that was planned for the end of April has had to be postponed. There are people like Barney Rubin who I think can give us an overview both of the thinking of some of the key actors internationally, and also of what is happening with the negotiations themselves. As you know, this volume actually compares the 1990s period to the current situation to see what are the similarities and differences, and what are the lessons perhaps that we can learn, all of us. I'm going to just talk a little bit about our region and the issues that concern us. I mean, for India, interestingly, we are far less engaged than we were perhaps in the 1990s or even in the early 2000s. While our aid missions continue, both politically and in terms of security, it seems to me that our conversations have reduced significantly. Nevertheless, there is one new development that perhaps could help for an Afghan peace process as well, which is the quiet, extremely hesitant efforts between India and Pakistan to once more resume peace talks. Now, that might perhaps help at least to take one major problem, if not out of the equation, at least sideline it a little bit in the equation. That is at least a hope that I have. We will hear more, I think, from Afrasiab about that. As far as I can see at this point in time, while our government is holding parallel discussions with different countries that are seriously engaged with Afghanistan, we have not yet evolved a policy of our own. We still seem to be very much in the, well, wait and watch mode. The only voices that we have heard recently are that our government should establish some kind of working dialogue with the Taliban as well. And now I presume that various small track 2 or back channel efforts have occurred from time to time in that direction. But from my point of view, while that is, of course, an important element for Indian analysts to consider, it seems to me that the far greater element is, first of all, how do we engage with all of Afghanistan's neighbors to try and see if we can arrive at some kind of working formulas to help the peace process and a stabilization process in Afghanistan. That is something where we where we have some knowledge, some experience, and some good relations. And I would certainly have liked to have seen greater initiative in the regional direction from the government of India. The second thing that I think India needs to consider very carefully is that whichever way you cut it, post a US withdrawal, there is going to be a considerable aid required by the whichever Afghan government there is for Afghanistan. And that is mobilizing donors is another area where India can be active. Let me leave it at those 2 points over here and say only finally that the situation as far as India and regional politics is concerned is very different today from what it was during the Najibullah Kakar period. There is a larger regional engagement with Afghanistan. While terrorism and counterterrorism and to some extent regional geopolitics will play an important part. The Cold War element and the kinds of rivalries that we had to engage in during that period and after that period, as well as the kind of alliances that we engaged in, are no longer relevant to the current period. In any case, we've seen realignments of various sorts, which I would say actually broaden the space for engagement for India in favor of some form of peace and stabilization process in Afghanistan. The fact that we do not have to align either against the US or against the or with or against the USSR. The fact that we now have to look at the Chinese engagement in Afghanistan and think of how our relationships with, say, some of the Central Asian republics can help strengthen at least some form of security stabilization. All of these are very, very different from the situation of the 1990s. And of course, we can see them, as indicating opportunities lost, but we can also see them as indicating opportunities that can be created. Let me leave it very broadly at that.